Greetings, viewers, and thanks for joining me out in the cold today for the finish up, some more of the finish up on this Tacoma. When I left you last, I had all the wiring done, everything working but the tachometer, still isn't working. I think my only solution for that's going to be to find a Tacoma harness on an early first gen that had cable drive, speedometer, and a V6 from the factory. I'm not real sure, but that's what it's looking like. If you know better than me how to make this tack work with 6-cylinder now, 4-cylinder tack, let me know, because I don't think it can be done. So, dashboard and packaging. Yeah, I still got to do these. I started to do this. I brought my computer out and was going to look up those wiring diaphragms, and I thought, you know what? I need to get this dash put together because I'm tired of driving it around with the cluster just laying up there and all these wires and everything sticking out everywhere, and you can't even see that. And now you can. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. I'm going to clean up all the mess. I'm going to put my pigtails where they go. That's the one for the washer jug, yeah, motor. Gonna get all my tools out of here, get my wiring diagrams, my connectors. I'll still show you how to use those connectors as I do some more finish up. I'm gonna try to put the dash together, kind of briefly swap out the steering wheel and get some final touches done that can be done and not have to mess with again. And yeah, so let me get that cleaned up and I'm gonna get started putting some of this back together. All right, so I think the first thing I'm going to need to do is put some of the ductwork back in. I would almost bet you in this particular situation, I'm going to drop that light here going for my ductwork in the back seat. I'm going to probably have to put something in and take it back out again because that's been a minute since I had this all apart. I could watch the other video of taking it apart. That'd probably tell me a lot, wouldn't it? Hey, that was my fingers. What'd you think of that? Glove box. I'm gonna need that. Last-ish. This piece in the middle. No, that's part of the dash. So I'm gonna dig all these pieces out, get that dash panel stuck back in there. Oh, get my speedometer cable hooked up. Looked like I pushed it a little too far in there when I was arranging it, but that can be remedied. That's stereo stuff. There's another trim panel. You don't need to see me dig all that out. I seems like an awful lot of plastic gathering up. I don't think I took that much off of here. But there's more. All right, that is way a lot more plastic stuff than I thought I took off of there. There are several pieces of stuff. Kind of don't know where to begin. This one here will go on over here after I tuck those wires in. So that's not a right important piece like the kick panels. They'll come later. Definitely need to start putting some of this ductwork in and screwing it in. I'm going to set the camera up, try to show you some of what's happening here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get in there and put a 2 or 3 pieces on and show you kind of, because I don't think I can get a good angle where I'm not going to be blocking, putting everything back in. It is really like the go take apart video, only backwards, but I'm going to get started on some of this and see. I know I need to run a little bit of duct work before I put the dash back in. All right, so after you get a couple, damn. Been going through puberty again here lately, I guess. Once you get your ductwork in, this piece up here, this piece over here, the rest of this ties in as part of the dash. I'm getting ready to grab the dash and slide it over and put it in. I'm going to have to put some wires into place. Slim's going to help guide it across. Oh, no, he's just going to run away from it. I gotta go over there and move some wires around. Give us a wiggle jiggle or 3. I don't think I'm gonna really have any problem with packaging all of this back in. It's not that much more than what came out of the Tacoma. and it would have all been in here if this was a deluxe model. So got to put these wires for your cluster up through here. Get everything in there. You'll need your speedo cable up in there also. Everything out of the way. Just be easy with it until you get it all in place. Sure you're not forgetting anything. What is that? Oh, that's that extra ground wire that I got to ground after I get everything else in here. Okay, so that's all through that hole. There's a little clip that this, no, excuse me, yeah, temperature control head bolts to, or hooks on to kind of hold it in place. So make sure you get that hooked after you get this far. And try to get it all up over. Oh, I gotta go line up my duct on that side. Okay, go around that way now. This one, with having the duct built in on this corner over here, it's a little bit tricky to get it together. Just make sure you got everything out of the way. Kind of lift and pull and slide and push, you know, till it goes where it needs to go. Now the dash is held up against the window by a bunch of clips. I'm going to go make sure those are all lined up. You can see it through the windshield there if you need some more help lining everything up. Caught on the tilt lever there. Caught on my radio, or my temperature control head here. All right, there we go. Now, there's some clips right there. Oh yeah, right in my ductwork for my defroster vents went right into place. There aren't very many fasteners that hold this. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah. Okay, so that went up there pretty nice. Now I'll just start putting it back together. There's two studs on this side that go over, or that go through the dash there. Got to make sure those are lined up. Put your tins back on those. Oopsies. Now when I do all this interior stuff, I set my gun setting on the lowest torque setting. I'm going to try actually start that one first so I don't lose it. All right, there's that. Let's see, there were screws that go in this part. There it is, lined up in its little slots now. Things will start falling back into place as you go. Those are the four that'll hold your radio. Those also hold it to this metal framework. So yeah, as you start assembling some more, you're going to get some more strength. Next thing is this piece of ductwork that goes down here under the steering column. First, make sure you got all your wires and plugs and clips and things coming out in the places you want them coming out. Still got a few things to do on the bottom, but it's going to be so much nicer driving this around now with the dash in and the cluster mounted and stuff. So let me find a screw to put this into here. Where does it go? Right there. Yeah. Screw for that. That ductwork's in. More fasteners will go through into the metal. You can always watch the video backwards too, where I took it apart. I know I say that, but you'd be surprised how much stuff I've found. And I go back through stuff and like, oh, there was something there, or I did forget that, or whatever the case may be. Yeah, this will be a whole lot easier for me just to put in some stuff and then come back and tell you about it. This piece here has to go in first. This fits in some little tabs. Make sure you got it right. There's a little hook on the metal bar. It hooks in at the back also. This piece has some clips, but still screws in through this piece that goes over the dash, or over the glove box. Don't forget to put your little metal bar down here that your glove box screws to. There's some more fasteners that fit in this over here. There's a center piece here that'll go in. I'm going to put this on. I can put some of this in, but not all of it yet until... Yeah, I'm just going to keep working across from this point as I go. It's just too hard. I'm right in the way, blocking the camera, and you can't really see what's happening. Seriously, watch the other video backwards, or watch it and then do the opposite, and you can find out everything you need to do too. I'm going to try to show you though as I get pieces finished, and then we'll get this biatch on the road and start putting some miles on it, see if there's any bugs that need worked out. Let's hope not. Okay, so the glove box is in now. Got the original window sticker for the truck as well as some other paperwork in there. Got the glove box screwed on. Don't forget that metal bar that goes under there. Can't screw the glove box on without it. You can put this screw in, but that one you gotta leave out because the piece that goes over the radio screws to that one. You can go ahead and put one in this hole over here. I gotta leave this off for now. Gotta leave the radio out for now. Here's where the hazard light button will go. Right here is where the ECT button goes. I got the wires up there for that already, and the clock. I'm going to put the cluster in and mount it, and then put this trim piece up around it. I think they're easy enough to remove if I have to. Like, I'm going to have to take this off again to get to the reverse wire for the camera, I think. But anyway, those are kind of easy. I'm wanting to look at this thing like it's going done. Like it's getting done. So I'm going to go over there and fish this ground wire down. Don't forget, you got to hook that up because the Tacoma cluster needed an extra ground and the 4Runner didn't have a spot for it on the harness. We already talked about that. All the ductwork is in across. Got to leave the bottom panel off for now, I think. Gonna move over there and start putting that cluster and stuff in. Tell you, one of my favorite parts about any project is watching the fastener box get empty. Sorry, I was looking around my shoulder there. Watching that fastener box get empty though, then you know you're almost done, and hopefully you don't have too many left over. Okay, once you get your speedometer plugged into the back, it's pretty easy. Shove the cluster back in. 2 screws on either side, blam. Sorry I'm not giving you real good detail on the reassembly of this, but it is literally just like the disassembly, only go back. It's not that big a deal, and trust me, I put 3 things on, take 2 things off to put 1 on. I forgot repeatedly. I just haven't been showing you that this time because I'm trying to get this part done. I'll show you when I change the steering wheel. Get some more packaging, shove all this stuff up there where it needs to be, and start cleaning this thing up and driving it. All right, doesn't that look a whole lot better? I got this door seal in, the wires tucked under there. This is my last little bit of packaging that needs done. I hope you can see that. That looks like a mess, but I tell you, there's plenty of room up under there for it to go. I did try to bolt it down and broke the tab off. My bad. Zip ties to the rescue on that. I got to change the steering wheel. The 4Runner column has the tilt lever in slightly the wrong place to match up to the Tacoma. I think I can modify that lever to match, though. We'll see. That's a small hurdle compared to some of the others I've jumped in here. Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't change to the gray handle on the shifter. I don't think that's a big deal, but I'll ask her if she wants it. I could put the black trim pieces on here from the 4Runner. Those may look okay, actually. I'll have a look at that. I'm done for the day. Oswald, where he went, he needs some more playtime. Changing that steering wheel over and stuff won't be too bad. Man, I'm happy to see this thing coming together. I sure appreciate everybody sticking with me through it all. It's been a long project for me, but I'm super excited to see how it's going. I got a lot of stuff coming up on the Tundra. I've touched on that later. Couple 3 months from now, I'm going on a little trip where I'm going to use it off-road. I'm going to put some sliders on it. I'm going to put those long travel, extended travel CVs in the front. Let's see, sliders, the CVs. Oh, and the Detroit True Track. I'm going to put that in there too. That's going to be exciting. Got something else exciting to share about that. I'll touch on that another time. Got to get my 3rd gen ready so I can go out wheeling this weekend, but getting this wrapped up and running and on the road is going to be is still top priority. I've had it out and driving around, but now with it put more together, I can go out and take it on longer trips and drives. Yes, it is plated and insured now, and see if there's any bugs that's going to need worked out on there. I sure hope not. So I'll be back with more of this, try to wrap it all up in this episode, except for the radio maybe. We'll see how it goes. Almost done for the day. I was trying to see what Oswald's doing. He jumped up on an engine while me and a guy was working on one the other day. It was funny as hell. But anyway, rambling on now. I'll be back with some more of that stuff on the... Hey, get down off there. More of this on the inside of the truck. And some test driving, let you know what's happening. See, there ain't nothing in there, you goober. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow. All right, viewers, it's the next day. You didn't even realize I was gone, but I was. Come down to these wiper wires. Now, I thought I will look up the schematic on these, and then I looked at the plug from the Tacoma has 5 wires. Plug from the 4Runner harness has 4. The extra wire on the Tacoma wiper motor was a white with black stripe, which is ground. So I just grounded it. Now I like to twist them all together and make sure they work before I go and put them together permanently. That makes sense to everybody probably. Now I wouldn't say always go by the color match, because different vehicles can have different colors, although most of everything I've done so far has been the same color. Not all, but most. On this, I just took the chance. There was a blue and white on each. I put them together. There was a yellow with blue stripe on both. I put those together. There was a blue with black stripe. I put those together. I had a solid blue coming out of the wiper motor and a solid gray one coming up out of the 4Runner harness. I just took a chance that those two would go together, and I grounded the black with white because it was by its lonesome. Viola wipers work fine. Now I'm going to take these apart. I'm going to show you how to use these little fastener things real quick. If you've never used them, they're freaking awesome. Now as far as how much wire you need to strip off, I hope you can see that. That's way more than is necessary most likely for these fasteners. I like to the wires that have been twisted up a little bit because they gather in the connector really well, if that makes sense. They fit, they stay. I give them a little twist and a little straighten, but not much. So hope you can be able to see this in here. kind of got to pull that Forerunner harness up a bit. So, like I say, you don't need this much wire. I'll put it in the hardest one to hold first here. Hope you can see all this. They're pretty dandy. Now I slid that wire up into where that silver solder collar is. I'm taking the one from the other side, push it in there. Now I like to push the wires together where they overlap real nice. I just pulled that one back out. When the wires are in a weird place where they're wanting to pull and tug, it makes these a little bit tougher to use, but only slightly. Okay, I hope you can see how I've got both those wires in there. You can kind of see them overlapping past that silver piece. That's the solder. Now the red little lines on there keep your solder from escaping. You take your little doohickey here with the heat shield around it, turn it on. The shield helps heat the whole thing all the way around, which is nice. It's pretty cold out here right now, so it takes them a hair longer to get started. You can see the shrink wrap ends have all shrunk down already, nice and shrink wrappy. And I hope you can see that solder melt in there. Get you down up there a real closer look at it. Now, I first used these, it did not occur to me, hey, oh, that's hot. And I immediately pulled on them to check and see if I got a good connection. You can't do that. You gotta let them cool for a minute. But you can see, hopefully, how that solder's melted in there and spreads out amongst those wires. So those are freaking awesome. I'm gonna do the rest of these because it's supposed to rain and it's test drive time. I'll get the washers while I'm here. Yeah, I think then we're gonna get out and drive this thing around for a little bit. Okay, so just to recap, if you're following along at home on what wires did what on the wiper motor, it was blue with the black stripe, went to blue with the black stripe. That's Tacoma harness first, Forerunner harness second, but same colors to same colors. The blue and white also matched up to a blue and white. The yellow and blue matched up to the yellow and blue. The blue from the Tacoma went to a gray from the Forerunner, and the white one out of the Tacoma motor went to a ground spot on the fender. Now on the wiper motor, I was having a hard time finding that in the schematics. I found everything, but the wire colors were not matched up, so I just put a couple extension jumpers down to my pigtail down there, zip tied the wiper in the, play the washer mode there, zip tied it up to the steering wheel so it'd be on. And then I just came down here and started touching wires. So you have a blue and orange from the Tacoma washer. It goes to this black one that came out of the Forerunner harness. You have a blue and white coming from the washer motor on the Tacoma. It goes to the red one on the Forerunner. These two went to the back washer. So black and red. The orange stripe went to the black one. The white stripe went to the red one. I'm going to finish those connectors up and then I'll be all done with everything under the hood. I'll get that blower motor next. All right, so that wraps up the wipers and the washers. I already got the washers packed away. I want to zip tie these together and tuck them up nice in the corner. I still have to do the blower motor, the speakers, and a few other things. That's why I keep everything till the project is over. And in the interest of keeping it all Tacoma as much as possible for ease of parts needed later, I'm trying to keep that Tacoma motor. So I'm going to graft this pigtail on real quick. Same thing like I did under the hood. See if there's anything else that I think's crucial. And then we ride. All right, now I've been told by several people that this red really cleans up nice. This is my favorite rubbing compound, 3M rubbing compound 05973. I am by no means a body man type person, but I'm going to see if a little cutting compound and then a little wax. You can see all the red that's coming off of this already. Oh yeah, heck yeah, that's gonna be real nice even. Whether or not this all gets done before the customer gets the truck, or oh, my wax jar just broke. Well, that's what they get for having frozen stuff. Just got it all over me. All right, well that didn't work out as planned, but I got enough wax on that little spot there to see. Let that dry. I know I should have rubbed it in. Plus it's cold out. This stuff's probably half frozen. My ball of wax is definitely not cooperating. I'd say that's sufficiently hazed up and rubbed in. Buff it off there. Wow, that really did make a big difference. I don't know how well you can tell, but compared to this and this, and you can see my hand in there. You can just see my shadow there. So yeah, I mean, that could definitely come out looking nice. That could be part of this whole thing too. That ends up getting done before it gets delivered. Let's go for a ride. Okay, well, we've already been around the block, the half country mile, 2.3 tenths. The tack hasn't blown the fuse. Blower motor's blowing high. I don't know if you can hear that. So blower motor's working. Washers and wipers working. That's all been packaged away and tucked up real nice. Now this stock still says rear wiper, but I'm gonna overlook that and tell my customer that there isn't one. The extra ground wire I was talking about, when I first fired it up, my temperature gauge pegged high and the tack was reading like 4 grand when the motor clearly wasn't running 4 grand. I forgot to ground that, so I just grounded it right there for temporary. But that's definitely what that ground is important for. Now, the tack. You can see there idling, 699 to 700. It's reading 1,050 on the tack. So the tack is clearly reading wrong. I can include this for the customer if she wants it. It gives the volts, which is good, and the water temp, which is right on the money. Gauge working proper there. The fuel gauge was working. Now the fuel gauge isn't working again. I don't know what I missed there. Maybe a ground or something, because when I was just driving it around the block, it was working fine. I'm gonna drive around a little bit, monitor that, give you an on-the-road impression here in a minute, and see if I can get that fuel gauge to come back on. Not gonna lie, that fuel gauge is on my nerves now because it was working. As you can see, the speedometer's working, just but like 32, 33, we're right there, 33. Tachometer, like I say, reading a little high. Temperature gauge is correct. What the fuzzy is going on with that fuel gauge now? Dang it, that was working. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna go fill it up and drive it around a little bit. Okay, also forgot I need to replace that front light bulb. Here's a little, she runs and drives, shifts just fine. Of course, it's not revving that high, but I can't hold all those things at the same time. I'm hoping that fuel gauge, just because that sending unit ain't moved in over a year. Well, I mean, in the tank. I'm gonna fill it up and hope that brings it back. But she rides out nice. Granted, I still need to replace the tires. Wish that tack wasn't reading wrong, but like I said, I can include that reader in here for her if she wants it. I just want to get that fuel gauge back going. Dang it, that was my test go. Arrgh. Okay, well, filled it up, heading down the road. Still baffled about that damn fuel gauge. Gotta be simple though, right? Gonna choose to believe that. Got this mounted up here so I can keep track. My temperature's going wonderful there. If you can see that, that's just where it should be with 195 thermostat. Maybe this one has a 190 in it. Volts is just fine like it should be. RPM's readable. You know, I could mount that up here even or something. I don't think I can get a fuel gauge in that though. But I'll get that one working again. It has to be simple. It was just going. Maybe I blew the fuel gauge fuse. Now that little vibration you hear is because I don't have the bottom panel on. It's just this black piece vibrating at the bottom. Okay, full tank of gas. Man, it goes down the road well. It shifts well. Cruise control works. We're on cruise right now. So that's dandy. Shut that off. The ECT, that engages and operates correctly. Let's see here, the overdrive off. There you see that light come on, that works correctly. Airbag keeps going off because the airbag's not plugged in. So we know the tach's not reading right. We got left and right turn signals. We've got flashers. Clock is working. Speedometer is right on the money. It says 48 there. It's 48. Well, let's just set the cruise and see what it tells me here. Once it levels off, let me get over. I forgot that light bulb, I tell you what. Alright, so I'm saying 49. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's see, what else did I test? Oh, high beam indicator works. Headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals all work. Heater works, blower motor works. Four-wheel drive works, I've already tested that. Transmission's shifting great. It's in overdrive at, well, like 48 miles an hour and 1600 RPM. Gonna watch out, got a slow postal vehicle in front of me there. So, yeah. Hey, look at that. There goes my fuel gauge again. Maybe I just have a faulty connection. Let's see if it goes all the way up to full by the time I get home. I would love to see that work. Okay, there goes my postal guy. V6 power. See, nice. It goes really well. It does have a shitty set of tires on it, so a little vibrating. That is totally a shitty set of tires, and the fuel gauge continues to climb. Alright, well, the fuel gauge is continuing to climb. Yay. This is the longest I've driven this since I got it put together and started. I thought, as I was paying attention, that the tach stayed consistent, but yeah, it doesn't. Like, it's only reading 1800. It's almost $3,000 over here, so it's kind of, yeah, doubling it almost, but not quite. But that's barked up and I know it. But the fuel gauge is working again. The brakes are working great. Track's nice and straight down the road, and it's yeah, I mean, I'm just really happy. I knew this was going to be a nice truck when I first initially got it, because of all the work that had been done. It hadn't been setting long, and it was a daily driver, and yada yada yada. Hope you can hear me over the dog's window down over there. So still got a couple of things obviously to work out on it, but awesome. Enjoying the drive. I'll report back when I get home. We'll check for leaks and hots and smokes and things like that. 55 mile an hour with the cruise on. I don't know if you can see that, averaging 28 right now miles per gallon. It was 20 a minute ago, so that's not too shabby. go home, make a new punch list up of all the things I want to double check now that it's a successful run and driving project. I want to go through and make sure all the lubes are full and fresh in the transmission, transfer case. I'll write all that down, make a new windshield list, scratch off those 2 things over there that are done already. You can tell I'm pretty freaking excited to be driving this down the road right now with everything except the freaking tack working. Hope you can see with all that glare. It just goes pretty as you please down the road. Okay, well, just to complete my on-the-road test, 4-wheel drive, low range, she's working just fine. 4 high, working just fine. Now, remember the tack reads incorrectly. Just a little acceleration test there. I'm not going above 4,000 RPM, but the tack makes it look like I'm going crazy. Alright, see, she accelerates well. She brakes well. She runs and drives down the road well. And everything is working but the tachometer. Now, like I said, I'm gonna go home and do that list, but I wanted to do just a little throttle test. Thanks for riding along with me and making sure that everything works, and I'll be back home for that punch list here in a minute. Well, all right, viewers, we made it back safe. Yeah, there are still only 4 lug nuts on each wheel, but I did tighten those down prior to going to Michigan for the wiring. Now, she's done. Okay, there's still a punch list, but short of installing the steering wheel, finishing tucking those little bit of wires up, installing the radio and stuff, which I will show that in another video. I need to wrap this one up. You saw the test drive. Every single function works properly except the air conditioning, and the tachometer doesn't read. Now, as you accelerate and drive and follow along over here, I know when it hits 6 grand, that's 4,100 according to this, okay? I could put some little little dots or something there, but I knew when following it along, I wasn't over revving, okay? I'll finish putting this on with the stereo and stuff because I want to show you how to wire in that backup camera bit. I had my GPS in here just to test the speedometer, and it was dead nuts on. I will offer this up to the customer. These are about 150 bucks. I'll see if she wants this one thrown in. I'll gladly buy me another one because I don't have that tack working. And I'm not able to find a cluster from a V6 cable, a V6 truck cable cluster, cable-driven speedo cluster. You know what I'm trying to say there. Anyway, so that. Wiring in the backup camera, you just have to tie in a couple of wires. It's not a big deal, something so you can't watch movies, but I know how to bypass that. I mean, I didn't say anything about that. Get my GPSer out of there. I have on the punch list for this, which is why I think I can wrap it up today. The AC, we know that is not working now. When I get all the pieces, I will put that together for the customer. The tack, it's not that important. I know it's different. Maybe later I'll include the scan gauge. If I find a cluster, I know who's going to own this truck. I can always get a hold of her and say, hey, let me jack with that, try to make your tack work right. I want to put a good set of tires on it. I only have left to check the transfer case fluid, front diff fluid and rear diff fluid. I have already done, checked the oil Check the transmission fluid. Make sure you do that with the engine and transmission hot at operating temperature on level ground, engine running in park, and check your transmission fluid. I have already done all of those, the antifreeze, all the crucial fluids. I knew let's see, which one did I check? I did something and checked one of them already. I think I checked the transfer case. Anyway, I'm going to get under there and check all of those. The steering wheel and the stereo, I'll do those together. The speakers, of course, will be included in part of that. And then clean her up, detail it, and deliver it. I'm hoping to get all of this done in the next day or two. And I have a customer anxious for her truck, and me anxious for some money. So yeah, I am super excited. Thanks for hanging out with me through this entire project. It was several episodes over about 7 months time, I think, since I first started it. I tell you what, I super appreciate all you guys. And maybe I should look at you while I'm saying that. But I really do. I really appreciate all the support. I love the comments. I get so many positive comments. It really means a lot to me. It helps me make my show real, helps me make it better, gives me motivation. Liking and subscribing and commenting and checking bells and tripping over your dog and all of that. That is all really free, easy, and painless, and it does help me out. I totally fund this entire show all on my own. I don't push merchandise, and I don't ask for Patreon crap and stuff like that because I'm a small-time guy, but you can like and subscribe and comment and check a bell and whistle while you work and all that other good stuff, and it will help my show and help me. It helps support my show huge. So won't you do that for me? I'd super appreciate it. And I super appreciate you hanging out with me through the Tacoma bit. I'm thinking about maybe buffing this out too for her. Depends on how anxious she is to get it, and maybe she likes the older look. I need to add to my list, wherever I put my marker, I want to fluid film this for her. All right, now I had somebody in the Rust Belt tell me they didn't know what fluid film is. Be honest with you, I just learned about it about 3 years ago myself. This is a lanolin-based, no-fling type lubricant. It doesn't wash away. It doesn't, dirt sticks to it. It doesn't wear off easily. Check out Project Farm. Yeah, that's another YouTube show I really like. He does a thing about this. It reminds me of motorcycle chain oil back in the days before O-ring chains, because you had to have something that stayed on there and didn't fling off. Not sure what that was made out of, but it smells the same as this. This is a lanolin-based oil. It's fantastic. You spray it on rust and it stops the rust from getting worse. If you have just surface rust and you keep spraying this, I do it once a year. After the first year, just a touch-up's all it takes. Anyway, I'm not going to commercial for fluid film. They didn't give me anything to talk about that. But I think it's a great thing, and if you're not aware of it, you should check it out. So, yeah, after all that, adding the fluid film on. Super do appreciate you. Thanks for listening to me blubber on a little bit about that. Have a super great day.